Welcome back to another video about board and card games that we, as teachers, can use for our ESL classes. My name is Brett, a freelance teacher, formerly a teacher trainer. The aim of this video is to show more games that can be used in the classroom. I will show you the basics of how to play these 5 games and then show you how you can modify the rules to suit your various ESL classes to maximize the fun and minimize the hassle. So let's get started with Timeline is a simple card game. There are many themes to this card game, from art, movies and art, to discoveries, to historical events, to this game, which is inventions. With 220 cards to each set, it has good replayability. To play the game, each player is provided with 4 to 5 of the double-sided cards face down on their side of the table. Face down meaning the date is invisible. On the player's turn, they must decide where on the timeline their chosen card fits in chronological order. Once a decision is made, they flip the card to its dated side. If it is correct, they insert the card in the timeline and the next person begins. If they are incorrect, they discard the card, picking up another from the unused stack, and forfeit the rest of their turn. Play continues until one person has no cards on their side of the table. There is a bonus round rule that I don't use because it takes up more time. For ESL purposes, I have the students state the name of the item in question. Then I have them state where in the timeline they will position it. And lastly, I have them state the date. As an example, "15 minutes is about right for some advanced students of English, but with the added language output it does take longer. Instead of 4 to 5 cards, you can reduce the requirements to 3 and reduce the students' English output for a faster game. Or just expect the game to go longer. Another note, kids wouldn't have a strong trivia knowledge base to have fun with this game, so I break this out mainly for teenagers or older. More than 8 players can play this game, but it would take too long for what you get out of it. In general, it is a quick and easy game to get to the table. Easy to explain to the students. It is fun with the right crowd of students. My memory is pretty bad, so it is always new to me every time I play. This can be found on Amazon and some local gaming stores. Not too expensive. Just a quick mention about 2 other games that follow the same style of play and rule sets are the Cardline series Globetrotter and Animals, done by the same designer and publisher. These games are a little more involved in that you have multiple aspects in which you can focus on as opposed to just one chronological line. The animals have lifespans, weights, and sizes. The Globetrotter set involves countries, talking about population, GDP, size, capital cities, etc. These 2 games are great options as well, but they are using the US imperial system as opposed to the metric system. Pairs is a simple pub-style card game best with 3 or more players. The game uses a 55 card deck that contains 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, and so on up to 10 10s. The gameplay is as follows, as quoted from BGG. Whoever has the lowest card is the first active player. She decides whether to hit, that is, be dealt another card, or forfeit the round. If she hits and is dealt a card that doesn't match a card she already has in front of her, then the next player clockwise becomes the active player. If the card does match, then the round ends. She keeps one of these matching cards as penalty points. And then everyone else discards their cards and a new round begins, with each player being dealt a card. If the active player forfeits, the round ends, and she takes the lowest value card visible on the table as penalty points. Then a new round begins. Penalty cards remain set aside even if the deck is shuffled to continue play. If a player acquires more penalty points than the predetermined threshold, then the game ends and this player loses. Pairs is a very fun game. It works well in a small ESL class as a filler. The target language is the plurals. When the cards are introduced as a group, the students say the fruit card's name, like blueberries, which are using the soft S or Z sound. It is simple and affordable. It can be found on Amazon. Snake Oil is a party game akin to Apples. One player becomes the customer, randomly identified by one of the many double-sided roll cards. The customer must decide which product is the best for their role, or simply, which sales pitch is the best. The other players, as Snake Oil salesmen, must combine 2 out of 6 cards from their unique deck, and with great alacrity, try to give a great sales pitch for their product to the customer. The winner of the round, chosen by the customer, goes to the Snake Oil salesman, who gives the greatest pitch. Then a new round begins. The unique salesman deck comprises of an insanely huge list of nouns and adjectives. The double-sided roll customer deck also has some very fun and unique rolls that spur imagination. As a party game goes, this is quite fun, and it falls into the Cards Against Humanity apples to apple category of games. Now, some people take well to the role of a salesperson and some do not. So this game falls into the with the right crowd pile for me. However, as an ESL game for students, it becomes a challenging but rewarding endeavor for the students. Once the students become comfortable with the sales pitch idea, they really enjoy it and laugh uproariously at times. So how does it work for the ESL learner? I always start off with explaining what the sales pitch is about. If they are high enough level, I also give them the history of the Snake Oil salesman, which is in the rulebook. Then I provide an itinerary of sorts for the students to follow. The focus is the target languages of it is able to, it is for ing, you will be able to I end with the statement, this product is unique and guaranteed to work. It can be yours for the low price of dollars, thereby introducing money. As an ESL game for students, the time frame is extended to 40 minutes or so. I also just have each player make their sales pitch. The winner is the one with the most roll cards in hand as opposed to a fixed number. As a teacher, you can have much flexibility with your target language and focus. The sheer amounts of cards available, even without any expansions, allow you to truly flex the boundaries of player limits and target language possibilities. If you are a business teacher, this game really shines. Snake Oil is available on Amazon and direct order from the publisher. These 3 party-style games are more or less the same. Crappy Birthday has 200 cards as opposed to 150 cards in the other boxes, and there is a little more wordage, but they're all from the same camp. These older games are all done by the same company, North Star Games, famous for Wits and Wagers, among others. Now sadly, they're not available on Amazon, but they are plentiful and rather inexpensive on eBay. The gameplay is akin to Apples and Cards Against Humanity. One person receives the gifts and will choose the best and worst gift given. The other players will pick up 5 cards and then choose only 1 card they think the receiver of the gift will either love or hate. Players then place their card face down on the table. The gifts are shuffled and then given to the receiver. The receiver then displays the cards and chooses what he or she thinks is the best and worst gift. Those cards are rewarded to the giver. The receiver changes to the next person on the right, and the process begins anew until 5 cards are accumulated by the winning player. Simple and easy. Now, the simplicity of the game and the magic of the cards are key to making this a successful game. The cards have outrageous pictures and captions that state things like, you must keep this gift forever, or do this kind of activity for X period of time. Now, of course, You would not need to abide by the 5-card winning condition, so you can drastically shorten the game. Actually, you can just use these cards on their own as an activity. Flexibility is the key with these types of games. These games offer the ESL teacher many choices of target languages at their disposal. I often break out these types of games as fun fillers, as they are a good reinforcement tool, and the students tend to love the simplicity and overall fun tone these games provide. The last game of this video is Unusual Suspects. Now, this can be a cooperative or competitive game, the latter of which would be team versus team. One person is a witness to a crime, but can only give yes or no statements. The other players are the investigative team, or teams. The object of the game is to find a criminal without making a mistake. It sounds easy enough, except a witness does not know, for whatever reason, what the suspect looks like, or if the suspect is a man or woman. When there are 12 suspects and the witness only knows the habits of the one criminal, the investigative team will have a fun but challenging time figuring things out. There are points in a score sheet, and the premise of the game is also a little more involved, but brought down to its basics for an ESL learner and any native player. I make it easy. In truth, I have never used the score pad and never bothered with telling the whole story of it. It has never been needed. Gameplay is as follows. Shuffle up the suspect cards and place them in a grid of 3x4. The witness will then pull a location card, which will denote the whereabouts of that suspect and keep that a secret. The witness can only show the yes or no card in response to any questions asked by the other players. The investigative team then asks a question. Does this person like chocolate, as an example? The witness shows a yes or no card. Let's say no. Then the investigative team must choose one or more of the suspects and rule them out by flipping them over. If the investigative team flips the wrong card, the game is over and everyone loses, but has fun doing it. The game ends when only one suspect remains, and that is the criminal. The thing to keep in mind that trips people up is, if the person said no to liking chocolate, the flipping of the cards would be suspects that like chocolate, so it's the opposite of the yes and no response. For an ESL teacher, the sheer amount of cards available in third-person question form provide an ample playground of possibilities. Some of the questions, though, would be too difficult for some student levels, so it may be in your interest to sift and weed through the selection. Actually, if modeled correctly, I often have my students make their own questions, as opposed to using the cards. With the team idea, you could have a whole classroom divided, and they must cooperatively come up with questions for the witness. The number of players then becomes as many as you want. Another thing you can do is, once the students choose a suspect to eliminate, they can tell you why. Or, if they choose more than one suspect, then you can tell them to order them. First is, then is, after that is, etc. You can ask the students to describe the pictures too. And that brings me to the other advantage of this game, which is the suspect cards themselves. There are over 70 beautifully unique and vibrant character cards, and those alone can make this game into a Guess Who variant game, among others. There are endless target language possibilities with this game above and beyond the rule set, making this game versatile and rich. Unusual Suspects then becomes a resource in itself. This is a fun, light game that students really enjoy. It isn't available on Amazon, but can be found on the company websites and eBay. Also, you could potentially make the game, but this artwork is amazing. And so ends this video about games that I use in the classroom. I hope this entertained and enlightened you. Give me a like if you like the content. I'll follow up with more videos. Also, if you use games in your classroom, what do you use?